How much sleep are you getting every night? Welcome to the Leadership Question of the Day podcast. I'm Jono White, and by the end of this podcast, wherever you're watching or listening, you're going to have 3 tips about getting more sleep, and I'm going to explain why that's so important for leaders in a moment. As I said, I'm Jono White from Clarity. We work with leaders around the world, and thank you for listening and subscribing, following, liking, sharing. If you haven't done that yet, then please do. Wherever you're watching or listening, give us a subscribe, follow, like, share. It really helps us to get the word out to help more leaders to become the very best they can be. So today we're talking about sleep. What on earth does sleep have to do with leadership? Well, sleep has everything to do with leadership. You know, I think this is something we're going to see in the next 30 years. I know for me in my life, when I was, in school, and I was in high school, grade 11 and 12 here in Australia, and I was working hard. I remember one night I had a history assignment due, and I remember just working all night on this history assignment, and it was due the next day, and I was so stressed, and I'd left it to the last minute, and so I just pumped out this history assignment all night and didn't sleep a wink, and or if I did, it was like minimal, and then just on sheer adrenaline I pumped this out, and then went to school the next day. And the next day we had a practice for our big showcase event, like singing event that was coming up in the next week, and I was sitting there next to a mate, and I was just exhausted, and he's like, "Man, you look tired." And I said, "Yeah, well, I had to get this thing done for today to hand it in, and so I just stayed up all night and just smashed it out." And he's like, "You do realize that's due tomorrow?" I remember just having this sinking feeling of like, oh, I can't believe I've just not slept at all to pump this thing out, and because I got my date wrong. But at the same time, I was glad that I had at least pumped it out. I mention that because, for all of us, I think there's this culture where we think, sleep is so secondary. Primary is getting my work done. Primary is doing a good job. And if I lose sleep, then I lose sleep, right? It's like, it doesn't matter. It's just about getting my work done and pumping the work out, whatever it takes. So the challenging thing on this is that sleep is actually way more important than we give it credit for. There have been recent studies done about how sleep affects the quality of our work, and in these studies, it's like when they analyzed it for students, so say for an exam, they did this analysis of sleep, and they said, you know what, most students, like definitely me, when I was a student, you will cram and lose sleep without even thinking, because you're like, I just need to study. But the research showed that a student is way better off in terms of their results and their how well they think during the exam. They're way better off if they get an extra 2 hours of sleep rather than if they do an extra 2 hours of cramming. And for me, I found this really confronting, and I think it flows into leadership as well. Whether you are leading a school and you think, I just have to pump out this report and just do these finishing touches for the next 2 hours before this important day tomorrow, and we think this report is more important than my sleep. Or whether you are, whether you're a CEO and you've got the next day you've got a big event with staff, and you think, I'm just going to spend a couple of hours just going over again all the things that I want to say, because it's more important for me that I really know my content. Sleep can wait, and this is the challenge I want to give you, is that no matter where you are as a leader, sleep is probably way more important than you realize. And if you want to be an effective leader, then you want to be an effective sleeper. And I don't want to say that as a criticism, because I know some people have medical conditions and struggle with insomnia. So if that's you, then hey, I just have so much empathy for that, and really it breaks my heart because of how important this stuff is, that people have struggle so much with it. So I'm with you on that, and I just really hope that you can see breakthrough in it. I guess I'm more talking about the people who don't have a medical condition but just don't prioritize sleep. If you want to be the most effective leader you can be, then become the most effective sleeper you can be. And that's that whole idea of sleep hygiene. And because the more sleep and the better quality of sleep you get, the better you're going to lead people, the better listener you're going to be, the better decision maker you're going to be. And, if you think about the decisions you make in your job, aren't they important enough that you'd want to be making sure that you make the very best decision? I'm sure they are. Whatever you're in, I'm sure that your work is important enough to prioritize this. So this is where I just want to get to the 3 tips if you want to become a more effective sleeper. And I would love to honor where I got these, but I just cannot remember who it was. I think it was from a TED Talk. But they've stuck with me, so I apologize. These aren't my ideas, but I just can't remember where they come from. But it's just 3 simple things you can do to sleep more, and it's not rocket science. Sleep more, sleep better. The first thing is to, where you can, is to avoid sleeping, avoid using things to help you get to sleep. And this sounds so counterintuitive, and when I heard it, I thought, really? But the point is that when we're taking different things to help us with our sleep, sleeping tablets and the like, it actually can reduce our REM sleep, which is the sleep that really rejuvenates us and makes a massive difference. And so what are some what are some different ways you can work on your sleep without taking things like sleeping tablets? The second thing is alcohol. So alcohol consumption can affect your sleep, and so having alcohol late at night can also reduce your REM sleep. And so that's another thing that you want to take into account and have a think about. And then the third thing is afternoon coffees. And hello, I am so guilty of this. I love an afternoon coffee just as much, if not more, than anyone else. But having an afternoon coffee can be really detrimental for your sleep, and so reducing afternoon coffees, and it's also little things like what habits can you create around bedtime that will really help you. There might be some things you can do around bedtime that, like one thing for me that I found really helpful is, I'm always thinking about leadership. Like, I can't switch it off because I love it. I'm so passionate about leadership and business and people, and so if I just lay there, if I go to sleep and try to just lay there, it's really distracting because my brain is just, loving all these ideas, and that's when I'll have new ideas and I need to write them down. It's not that I don't want to have ideas, but I just want to give myself a break, particularly when I'm trying to go to sleep. So I listen to fantasy books, and I love fantasy books because it puts me in another world. I have some favorite authors that I listen to, like Brandon Sanderson. What are the other guys' names? Oh, I've lost their names now. It's gone. But fantastic fantasy authors, and I just so love just being able to transport myself. And so as I'm going to bed, rather than looking at a screen, for me, I really enjoy having the audiobook playing, and so I can listen to this other world. It helps me to sort of switch off, and also I need to be careful that I'm actually having fun. So it's something that I can enjoy and have fun. Otherwise, I just can just sort of pursue getting stuff done a lot. So that's a little tip that's worked for me. But for you, how can you sleep better? How can you become a more effective sleeper? You might be thinking 100% about how can you become a more effective leader. But if you can become a more effective sleeper, it's actually going to make you a better leader. And arguably, it's going to make you more effective as a person in all of your relationships. With your partner. If you have kids, with your friends, with your parents, and with the people you lead. So, if that's been helpful, then wherever you're watching or listening, why don't you just write the word clarity, because everything we do is to help people get clarity around their leadership. And once again, thank you for following, subscribing, liking, sharing. If you haven't done that yet, then please do that now. Press subscribe, follow, like, share. It helps us to get the word out to help more leaders like you become the very best they can be. But most of all, thanks for hanging out with me. It's great to spend some time with you. I hope you found this helpful. and I'm looking forward to catching you again soon. Cheers.